Hey everybody, and welcome back to Trekyards. He's the undead Commander Cockings.
And he's Captain Foley.
Yeah, so we're here today to talk about Strange New World, Season 3, Episode 3, Shuttle to Confori. Confori. Anyway, yes. Zombie episode. Spoilers.
Yes, and Klingons first in season 3 with new things and bobs. Very interested to see what you think, Stuart, after the action but slightly plot holey season 3, episode 1, the laugh out loud, silly canon, confused but fun episode 2. What do you think of episode 3? Zombies, Klingon zombies.
Played out fairly well, in my opinion. There was a lot of really great shots of the Enterprise and the Klingon ship as well. Like, that was fantastic. But overall, I really enjoyed the story. It tied into the other one with the Klingon war criminal guy. We get a little bit of a disturbing thing from M'Benga saying that he actually did assassinate him. When that monster needs to come out, it can. Whether that's true or not, it's up to interpretation. Yeah, it was a fun little zombie adventure with Pike and M'Benga, and we got Ortegas trying to kind of push the limits a little bit. As a result, gets slapped down. There's a lot of really good stuff in this, including the hairstyles. Like even Uhura and Number One, their hairstyles are very 1960s. So it very much was a fun episode. Yeah, I think the zombie thing was pretty well done. Although don't call them that. They were Federation scientists and Klingons. And the whole Gorn thing with Patel, I mean, it's the whole crux of the episode. So, yeah, there's a lot going on. What did you think about this one?
So I was watching it, and halfway through I'm thinking, okay. And by the end I'm still thinking, okay. So my official review is it's the definition of mid. Just
Okay.
like there's nothing about it I particularly enjoyed. Nothing about it particularly well. Again, compared to last week where it was full of great things. Nothing was bad, but it was incredibly mid. And I think you'd call it more a filler episode in terms of like there wasn't such a spark of stuff. I don't think filler's quite a concept these days. Like it had a huge important things. But I think they probably did a little bit too many stories and none of which got the time, effort, or budget that they needed. And given each one is quite interesting, I think by sharing the screen so much, it was thoroughly mid. And really, they missed a lot of opportunities of extra, which I thought they were going to do at several points. They just didn't. So nothing's bad, but it was definitely mid.
Yeah, I mean, seeing them dressed the way they were and not really in Starfleet uniforms, it gave me a lot of The Last of Us vibes or Walking Dead vibes.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
it's got that distinct look, and it doesn't look very Star Trek at all. There were some great Klingon visuals, which we'll talk about, but yeah.
But all credit to them. The Klingons were decent, were fine. They could have done a lot more with them. They didn't. The ending was okay, not great. Believe they're in it enough. I was hoping the way they killed off the hench boys so quickly each time we saw them, I thought that they were going to be almost throwaways. At least they got something, but not a lot. But she was fine. She was right. And Bengal, I think, was reasonably interesting. He had a lot of tonal shifts, a lot of laughing early on, a lot of darkness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that I liked.
I got to give them credit. They fixed something that's been a long-standing thing with Trek. The artificial gravity went down.
Yeah.
They were floating on the bridge, because we always complain, with all the systems failing on ships during battles over all of Star Trek, you never see the artificial gravity go down. So that was really interesting. I really liked that.
Yeah, very true. An unexpected surprise, gently done. They just lifted up on gentle harnesses. Didn't have to be flashy. I agree, that was effective.
Yeah. So kudos to them for that, for sure. I did like the idea of the dust cloud and the communication beacon and the Klingons showing up and trying to slowly sneak through. I thought was quite interesting, although I don't think that would necessarily work. I mean, it's a big ship. You're going through dust particles and stuff. Like, that'd be trackable no matter how fast you were going, I think.
I mean, on Trek Shorts, my fan film team, we have to constantly introduce reasons why you can't beam or whatever on a planet to justify something happening. I say that, it's not that often, but it's not often enough to think as though there's a pattern. And it felt a little bit daft. It was really easy to avoid them. It would imply that later Trek shows all we have to do is just lower... it was very easy. Even if I was somewhat unique, It's not that unique. Like, it wasn't that special a planet. And certainly I like how they say, oh, turn off all power, and then it flies by and they've got all the lights are still on. Wasn't both exterior and some inside. It wasn't quite as dramatic as it could have been. At least in the last episode, they like put debris on them and they used the gravity. They did a bit more tactic with it. It was a little bit more lax. But again, wasn't much time for anything, right? I kind of wish they skipped that bit. I would have preferred if they just talked to Klingons and you had a bridge and view screen discussions and a bit of political stuff. Because this is a disputed land, right? Neither have a right to be there, so you could play fun political stuff there.
The other thing, we get to see the Discovery Klingon shuttle again. A bit of a shame. I wish it would have been something new, but it is what it is. Didn't see much of it, but
yeah, I can see why they didn't want to invest the $15,000-$20,000 into building a new Klingon shuttle for 3 shots.
Yeah,
right. And it wasn't. They didn't say a bird of prey. Didn't say attack. It was just a shuttle. So it was whatever. And I appreciate in dialogue that even though this is a modern day D7, as in their D7, and a retro, most would dislike it, Raider class Klingon, the lady at the end says she's got social honor that she had to like bargain and grab whatever ship she could. So that heavily implies that this is just whatever shuttle they happen to give her. This is not a good ship, a high ranking ship. So that fact there's old stock they let her use, that actually makes that fit in fine. Oh yeah, it's the one they had in Cargo Bay 6. They let her use it because they hate her for dishonor. That actually works okay. So that helped, actually.
That's an interesting point. Like, I did hear that, and I didn't really put 2 and 2 together, but I'm glad you connected the dots there.
Yeah, which is all in his one line, right? Not that it was a huge deal, but we as the tech guys, like, why did she have such a whatever?
The other thing I noticed when they launched the shuttle from the Enterprise and they kind of coming towards the camera and you zoom in on Pike.
Good shot.
Yeah, but you never realize how big those shuttles are. Like, he was tiny in that window compared to, like, the TOS shuttlecraft. Which implies that not a lot of them would be in the bay unless the bay is huge, which implies that the ship might be big. Anyway, small thing. And then they pan over to Mbanga and it's like, keep going, middle window. Yep. It's such a big ship.
yeah. It's like 5-6 people's width in the cockpit. Yeah, I mean, we know it's laughable that everything in Strange Worlds is bigger. I mean, if you take measure Ticonderoga and Strange Worlds and the set, the corridor length, it's going to be 2.5, 2 times whatever. So everything's just upscaled. Ignore it. It's not visual canon in the sense of like we know what TOS is. It's not this. It's its own thing, right? But it was a good shot, and they kept it nice, and it was really well integrated.
Interesting thing for me was the mind meld, where you actually see a Gorn like doing its thing, and then the talk about this chimera flower was going to incorporate Gorn DNA into Patel, which means she'd be a hybrid. And it goes back to our live discussion that we had yesterday about the Gorn. Wouldn't it be interesting if the Gorn from Arena was a Gorn human hybrid? So are they confirming Patel is the mom of the captain from Arena, the Gorn captain? No, I'm just kidding. And I love Pike's reaction to it. Like, why wouldn't you tell me it was her choice? Blah blah blah. But him being quite concerned, because if they want to have a family and kids, that's going to get passed down
before he dies before he gets maimed in a couple of years.
Yeah, he wants to have a kid. Then it's something of him continuing on, right?
Yeah.
So if they want to have a kid, I can see his apprehension there.
Quarter Gorn, third Gorn. Yeah.
Yeah, which would then be passed down to their kids.
It's fine. Just get some Illyrian DNA in there as well, and then we quarter human, quarter Illyrian, quarter Gorn, and quarter Pike's hair.
Perfect. Tribble, you mean? No, I thought that was an interesting thing as well. But to see the visual of like Patel on one side, Spock on the other, and then the Gorn in the middle, like screaming, and they're both freaking out, and it's just interesting visually, and I didn't necessarily expect that. So, just something interesting.
Yeah, this episode was filled with small moments. Like you just it's a whole lot of very interesting little bits, but they all could have been different episodes. They all could have been the highlight. So we normally talk about Strange Worlds being an ensemble show, which it is. Often it's because they give the characters a line or two or a moment or two. It's not full ensemble, but it can be enough to make them feel whatever. And when they got to the planet, I was thinking, are we going to really commit to this zombie episode and really develop into it? But then it did that for about 7 minutes, and then it just kept swapping between every plot after that, which meant every plot you know, because let's be honest, everything inside the base was visually bland as hell with Pike and Mbenga. It was brutally bland. I mean, they could have easily have made some TOS looking sets, like, like, or some, like, something to do with flair. It was incredibly bland. And then at the end with the fight, this is the problem with using the LED wall, right? If you want the LED wall to be visible at night, you have to make it bright, but you can't have the contrast high enough because LEDs have the technology only goes so far. So the blackness of space has to be a certain level of brightness, which meant everything was kind of muddy grey that looked pretty bad. But that's just a limitation of the wall, right? They're at night, they're being lit by night light, so it was all kind of like, so everything on the planet kind of after the green bit, right, was just brutally not good looking, and the ship stuff was very classic. But I really wish they focused. I really was actually interested by the zombie plot because it wasn't zombies and they kind of addressed it fully, and that's a good pairing in Mbenga and Pike. And him going through and learning about the Gorn thing was really interesting. He could have vented that more, and the Klingons chasing it. Like, I really honestly wanted a 3 Klingon with the interesting, like, characterizations of the 3 who were like partially renegade Klingons who'd come down, who were chasing through this planet, not die hard, but yeah, sort of die hard on in a base, and really let them play, and maybe they're talking in human talking in Klingon, teasing them. You learn some stuff, like that would have been really interesting. They kept coming back to the ship stuff, which is also useful stuff, but it limited the amount of screen time to just a little bit of a maze shooter, and then at the end, so it didn't develop past the idea. At least it was all connected, which I appreciate. The A plot was a continuation of the C plot for episode 1, and it was the reason for the zombies, and so I liked that a lot. And have the Klingon be connected to the previous season, again, smart, although not quite as strong, I think, as they thought it was, because we didn't know the daughter. I want to see some flashbacks of them together, something else to add a bit of weight to that. It wasn't quite as strong as I think they think it was, writer-wise. Her just saying that stuff in a small thing, it's something else. Maybe because Mbenga was holding back the whole time, that the scene couldn't elevate past the basics. Now, do you want to see him go full assassin? No, but you know what I mean? It was just all a bit, again, low-key. Don't know, right? Oh, also, I hated the moment that he said, throw the phaser to explode. Or no, you've just lost your 2 weapons. You just said disintegrate and kill them one at a time. It was working fine. Why the hell are you losing a phaser? Ridiculous idea, Mbenga. And it didn't work at all. You killed 3. You could have gone... Don't know why it was there.
Yeah, that bothered me too. And then they could lock themselves in a cabinet and then get rescued by the thing on. But
you know what I mean about that? Nothing was quite developed enough to be truly interesting.
Yeah, because I'm realizing now that we're talking about it, there's not much to talk about. Even though there's a lot of small things to talk about, there's nothing like, in depth, really. We got to see a little bit more of the ensign in sickbay, which was great. He kind of gets whipped across the room by Spock.
He does say sorry. I was thinking that as he said this, that's kind of brutal. Like that could definitely bruised his back, because Vulcans are strong.
And to see everything in Gorn vision for a second.
So that was doubly interesting, because we've debated about the Gorn, what they can and can't do, and they do if maybe they have some. They are giving them some mind powers or whatever. How can Arn turn on a Gorn console and work out the controls and work out in episode 1? Of course she can't. Maybe she has some Gorn DNA in her because of the breeding planet, and that's part of it, right? And now we're seeing that through Ortegas, who has some Gorn DNA from being stabbed, as a different way of doing it, but having the same. So she's seeing Gorn, and then literally the egg. So maybe they're saying all 3 now have a direct Gorn bio connection. And guess what? None of the 3 we see in later Trek. Oh, that's weird. 3 expendable characters all get maybe Gorn DNA conversions. Don't know. So I was pretty interested when the mind meld happened, and he mind melds the Gorn in her body, but the Gorn have been disintegrated. So that gives the Gorn a consciousness post-death, because the Gorn have been fully digested into a body. There are no sentient Gorn creatures in a body, and yet he is able to mind meld with the Gorn energy in her that exists enough to actually be a Gorn for a second, which is an insane thing to have done. What does that imply? What does that say? Because it's a bold move by them and really changes the game a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what that was representing. I kind of thought just the surviving Gorn DNA that was in her trying to fight back, but it felt like a connection almost to a Gorn collective of sorts. which was interesting. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. Like if they're all kind of linked with some reptilian brain thing. I don't know.
I wonder if there's like
But
genetic memory, and so when he linked the genetic, because it was, you can't just see, your eyes can't just see in other spectrums. I mean, that means he can't do the mind meld either, but like it was such a distinct moment of that's what Gorn see, boom, now he's. And I'm wondering if that will play a part later where they have to talk to Gorn DNA. Like, it sounds silly, but there's something interesting there,
yeah,
you know?
it was a very interesting idea to do that. Like it's going to be followed up on, I'm sure, at some point, because we do see in the trailer Pike and her standing side by
Yeah.
side in front of this portal.
Yep.
So maybe that has something to do with it. But yeah, it wasn't something I expected to see from this mind meld, and I love that it wasn't a standard mind meld. It was to help relieve
Yeah.
pain.
Mm-hmm.
So my mind to your mind, and then the next line was completely different,
Mm-hmm.
which was an interesting take as well. So
Well, he was
yeah,
literally, as he said, he was absorbing her pain, which then ties in. If the pain is being caused by a conscious entity inside her body left over, which again, it all is a bit like, whoa, that's interesting, right? And I was genuinely shocked that they said hybridize, because I felt a little bit let down that after having a distinct she's okay now to a distinct she's dying tomorrow, basically. That felt like a letdown, because we've just what's the, that thing, what's that called, seesaw? We just went up and then down and back up again, but we haven't. There was enough time to process it fully, and obviously, it doesn't help it just happened this week to us, right? 7 days ago she was dying, 5 days ago she was alive. Now, like, doesn't help that it's this quick, because that really hurts the pacing a bit. But surely just have more Illyrian DNA, just do another transfusion because it'll fight it. Because you fought the deconstruction of the molecules, but why couldn't the Illyrian fight the secondary? Are you now saying it's so strong to not? Maybe.
yeah.
But more strong than literal eggs in her body, like 5 or 6 sentient Gorn eggs about to hatch. Really?
That's why I'm hoping for a better explanation about that at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It would have been fine for episode 6, but episode 3, I'm like, really? Right? That said, of course, yeah, if I don't know what the hell Gorn hybrid means, which is doubly weird that she actively was willing to die 2 other times, I believe, from episode 10 and then episode 1 of this season. So it's odd that she now reverses and says, but now I want to live despite not being the person I am today. I felt that was a bit odd. There was no reason. Like, she did not have self-preservation per se in other episodes, yet now that's the only thing. And it was not for Pike. Made clear at the end. This is if it was for Pike for their relationship, she would have told him. But it wasn't. It was for her, which is fine. I also felt that we're going to break up at that point, or like near, because of like, this is for me. These are small things, right? But they change the tone so much. But that said, I'm sure it's going to work, quote unquote. And I doubt they'll do what was fake leaked for the Jurassic Park recent film. If you recall, a screenshot of Scarlett Johansson becoming a dinosaur was the official leak, and it was a insane idea, but could work if done properly, but like really properly. So I'm doubtful they'll do a bit where they give her green makeup. That seems silly for this and not quite appropriate. So how far can they take it? What are they going to do with it? It seems a very odd direction.
yeah. The way I see it going is possibly the Gorn wouldn't attack her now because they might see her or sense her as one of them, which means she could be very key in some kind of diplomatic engagement with the Gorn. But yeah, I'm not quite sure where it's going to go. I don't think they'll actually make her like turn into a Gorn.
But
That'd be awful.
that's the thing. If she literally does metamorphose into a TOS Gorn, which would be the in between step, as silly as that is. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it would fix the canon in the sense of like you can make in betweens, but also why?
Yeah, I hope that's not the case. Let's put it that way.
That's the arc, isn't it? The we resolved the Gorn super easily, but it's the effects of the Gorn that's what matters, right? Lana has a positive effect; she's over it. Ortegas has I did basically die almost. Now I'm just going to say it as it is. Like, if you guys are doing the wrong thing, I'm going to tell you because I want to save people. That's her thing, and Patel's like half Gorn. That's interesting. I mean, that is interesting. I just wish it wasn't episode 1 and then 3. Right?
Yeah.
I want to think of Ortegas and her quote unquote insubordination. At least they framed her first conversational saying out of turn as being that as well. What do you think of all that? Because she had quite a lot this episode.
Yeah, I liked that she kind of interrupted number one mid-order, and then Una called her out for it right away on the bridge. I didn't get the implication that she had gone too fast to have the ship detect them, but that's explained after the fact. And yeah, it's not your call to make for that. The fact that she's now off official duty for a while, so she can go undergo command structure training or whatever it was, is good. I thought it was a good mix of for Ortegas in this one, like super excited to be back at the helm, like, hey, you missed my flying, didn't you? The cockiness, and then also the kind of rebellious nature that she's got now, where she thinks that she knows better than the command person. So yeah, I think it was very well done. And
Yeah, I was mixed on how the episode treated it, and of course, as we know, there's 2 episodes of TNG where Picard and like Wesley talk, and there's one episode where all is about the truth, and he lectures him on that, and then it hard cuts to another episode where he's saying the opposite, and it's like, oh, Picard, situational hypocrite. Fair enough, right? Whatever, people are people. So I thought it was odd that first scene of her interrupting, that's her job as Helm to give ideas. So I was.
Una even says that to La'an. She goes, "No, I needed options." I'm kind of glad she did.
So I was surprised by the tone of her being. It's like you would want that in every other show. Like, okay, you haven't thought about this, and you can have an idea at the end of a meeting, right? You can interrupt because you just had the idea. So I thought that was odd. They didn't chastise her, but they put her down for that. It's like, well, yeah, and also it is ridiculous to say 6-hour plan. Like they could be dead in 10 minutes. And Una was very unprofessional, I thought, in her. She was too professional. She was, I don't know if the actress was having an off day, but like she was very not connecting to the material in a way emotionally that I wanted. Maybe that was Majel Barrett's version more, but she didn't give me the, like, no, it's fine, we'll take 6 hours and they'll be dead. Okay. Just lack of, it felt odd to me versus other ones. And then later when Ortegas, I mean, you could tell Ortegas was doing that, right? The sound effect, it was in the moment.
See, I'm not sure the Enterprise even was aware that there was a shuttle on the planet.
The Klingons.
Right? Yeah, because you see the Klingon ship come in, you see the little shuttle beside, and if the shuttle did the same thing where it evaded detection to get to the planet, the Enterprise might not know that the stakes are higher because there's, like, they just see the ship in orbit. Like, yeah, I was convinced that they didn't know the shuttle was down there. I don't know if there's any dialogue where they actually say that specifically.
I agree, but a Klingon's in orbit. It's not a coincidence. And we've lost contact. Yeah. That, I mean, certainly implies heavily there are Klingons on the planet they're fighting.
Yeah.
So we give them 6 hours of 2 guys with 1 hand phaser each is a bit silly. It just like that was. It didn't feel. It felt like we had to force drama, and then have back and forth on that. I don't see that as being super logical, especially as Ortega's plan was, while dangerous, it worked really quickly and flawlessly. I don't know.
I love the warp into the planet, though. Well, the one thing I don't like is that they were at warp, and they were only this far away from the planet, and they were this long warp streak, and it's all of a sudden then to come out. It's like, did they circle around and do a longer warp jump? Because it's kind of silly. But that being said, the visual of it entering the atmosphere, very Star Trek 3, kind of gave me like, oh no, the death of the Enterprise. But some beautiful Enterprise shots. So I gotta give them credit for that. That was beautiful.
Yeah, I mirror that. In the planet atmosphere, it looked fantastic. I also got Return to Yesterday vibes of it in orbit. I kind of wish we'd had one shot of it from the planet's surface looking up, and then just a classic TOS in orbit. It's like, hey, because there was definitely a weird edit of we never see them leave the planet. They beam up, they're suddenly far away and jump to warp. They needed one shot of going back up and out. That's just bad editing choice. Whatever, fine. But yeah, the warp in was beautiful, but yes, it'd be less than a millisecond, less than a half a second, less than a quarter of a second jump, so much less than a second that it would be almost imperceptible, right? And I thought they were going to do BSG into orbit, which is absurd. I thought that was the absurdity of the move. I thought it was daft. Where they went up to was better. That was okay. You could warp into an atmosphere. Don't do it, but you can. That was better. But yeah, I wish they'd said, as you say, like we have to warp away for 2 minutes, warp back for 1:10 just for safety. because warp isn't hyperspace. You can't. I'm not the original version like the JJ where you just do. So that was daft, but it looked cool. And I was kind of expecting the twist they were going to beam the lady back, the Klingon, like before she got eaten. Well, maybe converted, whichever. I thought that was going to be the twist that they saved her because it was just going to time that way. The ending wasn't going to be identical, and I kind of was appreciating that. I just not that she was great or anything, but like, oh,
yeah, they'd have no reason to beam her up necessarily because they were just seeing her as an enemy. They wouldn't have known.
3 life signs. But then you have a prisoner to hostage back to the Klingons. I mean, it's a very small note, but I could see doing.
I thought they were going to for sure, like you said.
But yeah, no reason to per se. But certainly, if you extrapolate based on some dubious logic, that could be the Klingon captain. And if you get the Klingon captain, then the Klingon ship is going to fire on you. Small thing, but you could have argued that, which she wasn't. She was just renting a lift, which is actually kind of funny.
Her look, like the Klingon look, was good. I like the gold, which is very TOS for their armor. And her whip was interesting. Wasn't a fan of the disruptors, like they were the Discovery ones. And the handheld one, I didn't like the way it kind of curved and bent. It looked fun. It looked silly. But overall, it was cool to see good Klingons, and she was an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, the Klingons aren't hard to do wrong. You got to work really hard to do them wrong.
Yeah.
And of course, they already had the rifles, so they were going to use them. They weren't great. At least they sort of blended in. Like, they're less obtrusive if the rest of the look is better. But I really wanted more of a dedicated 3 Klingons, give them all a vibe, learn about houses, a bit more of that. But also, there's something genuinely to be said for the cavalier nature of how they did them. Of course, they're Klingons. Like, it felt more like a season 5 DS9 episode where there are just Klingons. It's not a big deal. Don't think about it, which I actually does work versus having to be special, because it really wasn't a special Klingon episode. It was just them there, much closer to how they should be. Except doesn't she shoot her officer who gets eaten point blank?
As soon as he gets bitten, she just shoots him,
and there's not even a reaction. She could have. I mean, at least she could have yelled at the sky for a second. Small thing. I mean, although I will say as a reverse of that, really impressive visual effects of those long shots panning through people getting disintegrated, because of course they were there. They're not there anymore. So I'm assuming they'd a lot of work to make that so many shots look absolutely flawless. I have no complaints. It was a really cool, brutal of course, but cool.
Yeah,
really well done effects.
Them getting disintegrated was great effect for sure.
No Pelia, a little bit of Scotty. Yeah. He was very in keeping. Nothing particularly special. He was fine.
No Mitchell.
No Sam Kirk. I liked Uhura's haircut. Didn't like Una's haircut. Didn't think Susan at all.
It felt very Greek goddess, Athena type.
Yeah, but I think more her energy was just off, and very little chapel.
But I did like the artificial gravity went out.
It's great
to them for that.
Yeah, it was good. And Ortegas. See, that's the thing I was about to say. Ortega saved the day. She didn't technically save the day, and that's where the ending would be entirely different if it was a hero character in any other show. If Paris did it, and he saved the ship, and we knew as the audience he saved the ship, then even the disembodied, you would have that sense of, well, fine, we didn't save the ship, but our actions didn't do anything active to save the day. So there is that lingering, shouldn't have done that, even though it was a better plan. It did work. It worked really effectively. And had she beamed in earlier, the Klingons would have been saved. So there would have been live saves. But I mentioned they used that because they could have easily have had and I'll let you jump in a second, the shuttle, Klingons go on it and force it down, destroy it. They could have had MB removed that out. Although to think they can fly a Klingon raider is silly. Who do you think they are? Shazad Latif and Lorca?
Yeah, I was going to say Lorca, and they did it. I love that the line was in there that they were just about to get into a shuttle, so it didn't really matter that we beamed them away anyway.
Interesting choice.
Yeah, otherwise it would have been she did save the day because the force fields went down. They were getting swarmed.
That's a really interesting choice for that.
Yeah,
really interesting choice for that. And and they can take it either way. They can take it as she realizes being too over the top is too much. But she's so damn loyal to Starfleet and the ideals and helping people that I would see her choosing to back down at the final stage versus being thrown out of Starfleet because she went too far. Like, that's not Ortegas B goes over the top for people, not for herself. So she would back down because once she's out of Starfleet, she can't help people in the same way. So you know what I mean? It was an odd choice to go that route and present it the way that I felt.
Yeah.
It was fine. Was it better than the first episode?
That's a very good question.
And we'll discuss that in our full live review, because I'm equally... Is that a good question?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And I'm looking forward to watching it again and seeing how I feel about it.
Yeah, it'll be a very different second watch.
Often these things kind of need to marinate a little bit before you get the full effect. So
we both watch it this hour. So
So anyway, guys, comment down below what you thought about this episode, and if there's anything you want to bring up that we missed in the comments, please do so. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button, and also the bell notification icon to all, so you can join us for the live reviews, live discussions, and all of our edited content as well.
And if you want to support what we do here on the Trekyards, then you can via Patreon. It is monthly, or join the channel, also monthly, here on YouTube, or super chat during a live. We absolutely love those. The interactive communication with our fans is wonderful and supports the channel. All super thanks. It's a super chat, but anytime, on any video, at any part of the day. So if you can, please do. And if you can't, just keep watching, liking, subscribing, all the good stuff as you said.
All right, there you go. So until next time, he's Commander Cockings.
He's Captain Foley.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.